Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 7 preview between the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. Now let's look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Ravens.
The Ravens come into this ball game banged up on defense, but they're going to look at guys like Terrence Cody and a linebacker Albert McClellan to step up and play some huge roles this week versus the Houston Texans. One thing that's important is stopping the run. They didn't do a great job of that last week versus the Cowboys, and they have to improve that output this week in order to win this ball game. Also in the secondary, they're banged up, and they're going to have to protect themselves versus the play action pass. So I'm going to be looking to see how well they do that this week. But let's go inside the lab and look at the offensive side of the football and how they can get Ray Rice to the outside versus the Texans defense.
It's always tough to run outside versus a 3-4 defense because of the speed and athleticism that the outside linebackers possess, especially against the Houston Texans. What the Baltimore Ravens can do this week is get outside by getting creative with their personnel packages and assisting Ray Rice to getting to the edge so that way he could utilize his speed. You see right here we have two tight end sets, but we have a tight end flank, we have wide receiver play side. This has to be Anquan Boldin because of his ability to block. We're going to need him to block down in this play. It's going to be a quick pitch right here to Ray Rice. Going to get him going outside. And everyone on the offensive line, scoop blocking. Everyone's scoop blocking. Scoop, scoop, scoop. And here's the key. Anquan Boldin is going to have to block down on that linebacker as the tight end is going to scoop around and lead on that cornerback. And that's essentially going to lead him into the sideline and running for daylight. So if they're going to try to get outside against the Houston Texans, they're going to have to get creative with their personnel packages and put them in situations so that they can also run the football on the Houston Texans defense.
Now let's move over to the Houston Texans, and quite honestly, the Texans are dealing with their own set of injuries on the defensive side of football. But I look at a guy like Kareem Jackson. He's going to be matched up versus Torrey Smith. That's a battle he has to win throughout this ball game. Connor Baldwin, the outside edge rusher, is going to have to do a great job this week in sealing the edge and not allowing Ray Rice to get to the outside. If they can do that, then the Texans can keep this game close and perhaps win it later on. Brooks Reed getting after the quarterback. The Ravens run a lot of play action passes, and Flacco is a guy that does not move off the spot, so they can have some opportunities to get to him. But let's look at the offensive side of the football. Let's go inside the lab and see how the Texans can attack the zone coverages they'll face this week versus Baltimore.
One of the main coverages that the Houston Texans face when they throw the football is zone coverage, a quarters coverage. And here's how they can defeat that: by utilizing a bunch formation out of the shotgun. You see right here we have the backside receiver. He's going to work up 16 yards, then bang, come across the field. Quarters, quarters, quarters. This guy is buzzing to the flat. And right here you have your bunch formation. The guy at the top is going to work his way outside and work down the sidelines, down the hash. And that's going to pull this guy right here in coverage and put a lot of pressure on this strong safety. Why? Because we have the outside guy working back in and hitting that comeback route, and then we have the inside guy shooting to the flat. So now you have the quarterback's ability to sit back there in the pocket and pick which window he wants to throw in. And we have the back blocking right here. Nobody comes, threatening the zones, takes a short dump off, and that could also be a big play. So by just confusing these coverage, flooding the zone is a way they can attack the zone coverage out of the bunch formation this week as they take on a very tough opponent.
The best way to protect your defense is going on long sustained drives offensively, and I think that's why I believe the X factor has to be the Ravens offensive line against the Texans defensive rush. Now look at the Texans secondary once again being an X factor. They got exposed last week against the Packers. They're going to have to come in and rebound because the Ravens will come in and try to hit some big plays deep down the field. Now let's look at the personnel breakdown in this matchup. Usually this is an even match top to bottom, but you see the Ravens have some injury issues on the defensive line and also in the secondary. That could be a big problem going against a team like the Houston Texans that knows they can run the football downhill on this defense. I like the Texans in this ball game. I think too many defensive injuries for the Ravens will hurt them this week versus a team that just runs downhill, and they're going to run it consistently. The yards may not be there, but the attempts will definitely be there, and that's where they take a toll on the defense. So I look for the Texans to win this ball game on the ground, 25 to 30 carries for Arian Foster. I also want to give a huge shout out to Texans fans and Raven fan forums for always showing football game plan support.